Attention all members of the Black Mark investigative team. A meeting is being held in the conference room. I repeat.
Excuse me, I'm being called.
All members of the Black Mark investigative team are requested to proceed
Is it serious?
to the conference room immediately.
The Black Mark? I don't know, Martin. I'm afraid, you know. Thanks for the coffee.
Only yesterday you released news of the Black Mark affair, and you've already got the entire World Medical Association involved. Isn't that premature?
I'm afraid it may already be too late.
Good afternoon. I'd like to introduce our colleague from Outer Space Security, Oleg Nikolsky. And this is my special action group.
I look forward to working with them.
Science consultant for the World Health Agency.
Please be seated, Doctor.
Let's begin.
Cooper, would you brief us on the facts and then play the tape?
The story of the Black Marks all started with the tragic accident that happened in the Pamir Mountains. There was a snowstorm blowing at the time on Eagle Peak. The equipment in the weather station on the peak failed to react normally. There was someone at the weather station. A former cosmonaut was there, Timur Kizimov.
Responding to the emergency, 2 inspectors were dispatched to the Pamir.
And now everything is ruined. Only because your men decided to break their well-known tradition of sluggishness.
Professor.
Please, go on.
The terrified caretaker rattled off a story about someone not being the cosmonaut called Timur Kizimov, but some kind of spy, a secret agent on an espionage mission for an interplanetary civilization. The inspector didn't seem to believe it. Then the caretaker pointed out a dark stain, a black mark left on one of the instruments.
These strange markings are certainly baffling to us. However, that's not the point. If such sophisticated precision equipment can so easily be disrupted, what would be the effects in the case of human beings?
Yes. I'm afraid these events are most troubling.
Yes.
I'd say this is extremely dangerous.
That's the reason it was most imperative that Timur Kizimov answer some questions. Can we see the tape?
Cooper, start the videotape.
Tell me, Kizimov, why have you systematically avoided speaking to our interplanetary security agents?
Well, I don't generally speak to anybody at all except a few close friends. Or an acquaintance now and then.
Pardon me, but who are these friends and acquaintances?
That's my business, isn't it?
You must be aware that we can't help being curious about these unusual qualities you acquired during your mission in outer space.
What you are saying is that you believe I'm a danger to humanity.
You surely realize that it's an eventuality that we cannot entirely dismiss. So you believe you're a threat to humanity?
Not really. I'm not at all dangerous to society. Not any more than any living being on this planet Earth.
You don't deny having these unusual abilities.
Isn't it obvious? Especially since my powers puzzle me as well as you. I don't understand it. Not at all. Yes, believe me.
Could it be an illness?
Well, you've seen my record, and you must have my medical report. Didn't you read the clinical results of my examination?
Ah, yes, you are in very good health.
Good health.
Excellent health. You have unlimited permission to visit Earth. We can rule out disease.
The situation was strange enough to begin with. And further investigation uncovered some black marks that had nothing to do with Kizimov, Doctor.
The marks were left by John Laurie, another former cosmonaut.
Shall we go on?
Turn on the tape.
Kizimov, have you come across anyone else who has the same abilities that you have? Laurie, for example?
Laurie?
Does the question surprise you?
Why bring in Laurie? I understand. No, I haven't. Not really.
Then you don't know that Laurie has the same abilities as you. That he, too, has left black marks.
But that's of no concern to me. I didn't notice anything special.
You mean that you never discussed the problem together?
Well, the subject isn't something which I find very amusing.
Is your refusal to discuss it in any way connected to your extraterrestrial experiences?
I'm no longer involved in space work. I've quit the service.
You don't seem to understand the question.
Any question touching upon whatever happened to me on interplanetary missions will not be answered.
That's precisely what we want to know, Kizimov.
Well, why don't you just say it was some kind of mysterious event and leave it at that? I'm not here to satisfy your curiosity.
So it's a whim, a strange whim of yours.
No. Not a whim, just self-preservation.
How should I interpret that?
Any way you want to.
I see. Tell me, Kizimov, how were you able to exert control over the entire electronic system and the precision instruments of the Eagle Peak weather station?
It was involuntary.
Then it's true. You are actually able to influence sensitive equipment. The black marks come from you. It goes back to your work in space, doesn't it, Kizimov?
Why don't you take my advice? Just leave me in peace. I've had enough. The marks won't get you anywhere. What do you want? We're not criminals. Just stop butting into our lives. This peering over our minds is futile. And it's cruel.
Well, that's the end of it, Frank. Congratulations.
Thank you, Webber. I just aim straight and often. I count how many men I've killed.
Well, it's nice to have you here for a cup of coffee. I'm glad you could visit headquarters during my working hours. No one else has been given that privilege. Jimmy? My assistant.
How do you do? I'm happy to be working with you.
Why?
Your performance on the test was aggressive.
What do you mean by that?
That may not be the right way of putting it, though. Let's just say the test field experiment is the way we measure the mental and physical pressure the subject is capable of handling.
Really? I guess I have my own way of doing things, and you make good use of it.
Your methods are rational to the extreme, Frank.
Ah.
Jimmy, how did Gould get by you so easily up there?
I had some difficulty choosing a decent camera angle.
So that's the reason you can go, Jimmy. Tell me, Frank, why do they send you into the zone, the special quarantine zone?
What makes you so interested in the zone?
Well, I'd never really been told about special zones. You hear talk, little hints. Cork Island, Honoris, zones of total isolation. No one talks about these things. You would think I'd be informed by now. After all, we're supposed to be working together. Maybe I'll mention it to the chief one of these days.
I wouldn't do that.
And why?
Well, I wouldn't advise it. What you don't know will never hurt you.
You've had problems then.
You know, Martin, our advanced civilization has attained the ability to explore outer space without realizing what the conquering of other planets has cost us. Synthetic materials, isolation, controlled environment. And that's only one side of the question. The heart of it is much more complicated.
I know what you mean. We've only explored a corner of the universe, a tiny patch on a planet called Jupiter. And already, we're confronted with difficulties.
Did we really explore it?
Oh, we discover a little more each day and go on searching. That's progress.
Ah, progress.
That's right. According to department statistics, which I assume to be accurate, there are more than 700,000 people working on orbital space stations. And that's not counting the ones that are working for the armed forces. I would not venture to qualify that as simple interplanetary exploration.
No. It isn't obvious, is it? When you consider what everybody's saying. And what they're not saying. I don't know. We still have a lot to learn. About ourselves and where we're headed. We've forgotten how to be adventurous. We've stopped dreaming, that's our problem. Looks like we've abandoned our motto. It's always wise to take precautions. We've got a new one now. Utmost precaution, no matter what the price. And that has become the guideline of our space exploration.
I believe that's the right thing.
I suppose so. It's a sign of our growing uncertainty. Caution and self-protection. We're beginning to protect ourselves, Martin. Today it's a glass dome. Special environment. And tomorrow? Well, meanwhile you're amusing yourself with all your tests, inventing space games.
Attention, all members of the Black Mark investigative team. A meeting is being held in the conference room. I repeat, all members of the Black Mark investigative
I have to
team
go.
are requested to proceed immediately to the conference room
It
for a
sounds
meeting.
like it's serious. These black marks.
I don't know, Martin. I'm afraid it is. Thanks for the coffee.
Yesterday, after receiving your request for information, we discovered something very interesting. Someone else is in the picture now. Edward Younger. Cooper, get the photograph of Younger. I should mention that this cosmonaut has persistently refused to speak with our interplanetary security agents. Cast. I'd like to hear the report of your meeting with Edward Younger. Cast? Well, what are you waiting for?
As soon as I brought up the subject of the black mark, Younger pushed me down the staircase.
Shouldn't it have been the other way around? I'm a little concerned for your future. If you're not careful, your career might end with a long fall down a staircase. Sit down, Cast. I've prepared a little surprise. What does this look like to you?
It looks like an ordinary stick of wood.
That's right, just an ordinary stick. From a hazel tree. Experts have been analyzing it from every angle. Nothing unusual about its microstructure. And yet, this wooden branch functions as a television receiver.
What?
Yes, but it's very selective. The stick plays only children's programs.
Well, and who's the inventor of this wonder?
The inventor. The inventor of it is a former cosmonaut that has retired from active duty in space. His career follows much the same line as the others. Kizimov, Laurie, Younger. David Norton. He's the fourth case we found. And David Norton is closely related to one of our own colleagues in the action team. Right, Poling?
Yes, quite correct.
Then it's true that your sister, Sylvia Norton, is married to David Norton. Shouldn't you have mentioned it, Poling?
Yes.
Good morning, boys and girls. Do you know who I am? That's right, Corky. I've got a story to tell you, but you must pay attention. Are you all listening carefully, children?
So there are four. Norton, Kizimoff, Younger, Laurie. Who are they? Is there something behind all this? Have they been transformed in space? Is their presence a danger to our planet? And above all, its inhabitants? Just think. What we are facing here is nothing less than a metamorphosis of man's natural abilities.
That means we're faced with a phenomenon simultaneously affecting 4 human beings. It must be in some way connected to the Lunar Rainbow project.
Lunar Rainbow was sent to land on the moons of Uranus. These 4 men were part of the first landing group assigned to explore the surface of Oberon. That's when the tragedy occurred. A large part of the moon's surface suddenly cracked, and a strange greenish light was seen by the men of the landing party. To this day, the light has never been explained.
I suggest that the catastrophe resulted in the fact that 4 young cosmonauts have obtained mysterious supernatural powers.
Thank you, Nikolsky. That seems a logical theory.
My dear young man, you should have known all this before. Why didn't you investigate the problem long ago?
But, Doctor...
Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting in any way that interplanetary security should have investigated these men immediately following the disaster. No. But when Jorgensen released the results of his special inquiry into the effects of the disaster, excuse me, it should have been obvious.
I read Jorgensen's report right after its release. I recall it perfectly. There was no way we could have possibly linked the events which occurred during the catastrophe with the Black Mark affair.
There's one important fact you're missing. One of the 4 who managed to survive the disaster was assigned to the commission that investigated the tragedy.
Who was it?
David Norton.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he took complete advantage of the situation.
Then you had information that we...
Information that makes black marks and magic talking sticks seem ordinary and unimportant. We've no time to waste. Let's start. Well then, a short time after the return of the second Lunar Rainbow mission, which was sent to investigate the events on Oberon, a former student of mine from medical school, Alberto Grigas, told me some interesting facts. Facts that somehow did not appear in the Jorgensen Commission report.
Surface correction complete. All systems are normal. We are maintaining our course. B sector is normal, Captain. Pressure variations are minimal.
Ship attitude correct. Velocity normal.
The ship is functioning in trajectory zone permitted within normal parameters. All normal parameters, Captain.
Ship time is exactly 23 hours. Service detail is assigned to guard duty. All others are relieved.
And so, for the next 3 weeks, Alberto Grigas, with the collaboration of Cosmonaut Back, made every attempt they could to clear up the mystery. And then, one night,
don't get it. During a flight, things can go wrong. Motor just failed every now and again. But it was broken on purpose. This was no accident. And now there are 5 malfunctioning.
Yes. It is baffling.
That's enough, I'm all right.
Have you told the captain?
I haven't told anybody else but you.
Maybe you ought to. What happened, Felix?
No. It's impossible.
What's impossible?
That man.
Who do you mean?
That man, I know him.
Who?
I don't know.
Look here, I'm not in the least convinced by what you've told me. It's impossible, and you know it.
Yuri, I don't think you've been listening to me. Something is going on.
Are you sure? Alberto, there's no proof, so drop it.
But let's just say we do have a stowaway. What do you suppose will happen, Yuri? During braking maneuvers, he doesn't have a hypergravity protective device.
Well, if the stowaway really existed, he would have needed one to survive takeoff as well.
You have a point. There couldn't be an extra device?
Look, why can't you accept it? There's never been a stowaway on this ship, Alberto.
Are you absolutely sure? 100% sure?
I wouldn't say 100%, but I'm sure enough. I would advise you, in the future, to refrain from spreading rumors and creating mysteries. Have I made myself clear?
Yes.
I need a personnel count with a breakdown sector by sector.
Yes, Captain.
Look at this. How many men are we supposed to have on board?
68.
What's the count?
68.
Is that clear enough, Alberto? And concerning your stranger, I advise you to stop reading those science fiction stories. We have enough outer space mist to deal with now. That'll be all, Alberto.
Thank you, Captain. I'm sorry.
Well, then, there you have it. Incidentally, there's a book written by Alberto Regis. Myths of Extraterrestrial Ghosts. You might find it very interesting.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Your help has been invaluable.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. Cooper, I want you to contact Felix Back.
He's working in one of the moon laboratories right now. I'll get him on the video phone. Hello, Felix. I hope we're not disturbing you.
Excuse me, I'm in the middle of some important work here.
We're not on a picnic either. Chief, we're all ready.
Hello, Back.
Afternoon, Herbert.
Ah, you recognize me then.
Who wouldn't? And Nikolsky, who's sitting there, I know him too.
We're flattered. We want to know about the second expedition to Uranus.
Or more precisely, about what you thought you saw aboard the Lunar Rainbow.
I understand. Of course. You're investigating the stowaway incident.
Yes. What can you tell us about it?
Me? But that was 8 years ago. Nobody ever asked me. It's been 8 years now. It's been a very long time since I saw him. But I couldn't have seen him. I couldn't have. Impossible. Because he didn't exist.
Who do you mean?
He must have looked like someone. Somebody you knew very well?
Mitislav Bakulin.
Cooper, show him the photos of the dead cosmonauts.
Right away.
Which one was it?
Top row, second from the left.
Yes, that's Mitislav Bakulin.
You're absolutely sure of it then? That's the man that you saw?
I only said he looked like Bakulin.
Why do you keep on saying looked like Felix?
The man I saw looked like him.
Then you're not really sure that it was Bakulin.
Felix, what do we have to do to get a straightforward answer? We want to know what you saw. Was it or was it not Bakulin?
I thought that it was...
Yes, go on.
It's impossible to explain, impossible to prove. I just can't.
I want you to answer the question. What did you think?
It could have been Norton.
Thank you, Felix. You've been a great help to us.
Thank you, Felix.
It's not just a mystery. This is becoming a ghost story. While Jorgensen and all the members of the crew went about their business and then slept peacefully, David Norton strolled the corridors looking like Bakulin. David Norton and Bakulin. Why do we always find those two names together? What do you think, Poling?
Mitislav Bakulin was one of the closest friends that Norton had.
It always comes back to Norton.
Yes, Norton. Norton. After the accident on Oberon, Norton spent 6 months on Mercury. Perhaps we could question Garanin.
Good idea. Cooper, I'd like you to try to establish contact with the chief cosmonaut on Mercury, Garanin.
How are you, Garanin?
How are you, Herbert? It's good to see you, Nikolsky. Well, I never imagined I could be of use to interplanetary security.
We need information on David Norton. What do you know about him?
When he was working with you, did you notice anything? Was his behavior unusual?
Norton, unusual? He got that reputation from having explored the plateau of the fiery serpents, something which no one had ever done before him. If it hadn't been for his courage, our minds wouldn't be working today. You remember how many men died on this planet? David Norton was assigned to Mercury base after his second mission to Uranus. I remember the day he arrived on the spaceship Russia.
Spaceship Russia to base. Entering approach pattern. Have you got us?
You are on our screens. Visibility excellent. Welcome to Mercury.
Thank you.
Reduce approach curve to 30.
Will do. We will be docking in 40 minutes. Approaching tower. We are prepared for docking with ML-24. Are you checking our approach?
You're coming in just fine. Prepare your passengers for transfer.
Attention forward port number 1. Secure the airlocks. Prepare to unload storage areas 5 through 8.
Attention crew of ML-24, take your positions. Prepare to receive passengers arriving on spaceship Russia.
We read you. Will do.
Mercury base, this is ML-24. Landing systems checked. Ready for entry. Indicate distance.
ML-24, this is Mercury base. Distance is 98. Angle of approach 55. You'll be coming in on landing area 1. Do you read me?
I read you, Mercury. 98, 55, landing area 1. Thank you.
Will the group of cosmonauts leaving with the Joubert detachment please proceed to gate 1 and prepare for departure?
We will be receiving you at Gate 2, Landing Strip 1. Spaceport Mercury is happy to welcome passengers arriving on ML-24 from spaceship Russia. I would like to remind you that your meeting point is Lounge 5 of the spaceport. I repeat, Lounge 5.
Hello, Ivans.
Hello.
Nikolai, good to see you.
I wasn't sure you'd come. What do you know about the plateau?
Not much.
4 cosmonauts and 3 miners lost their lives on the plateau. Our resources from the mines are threatened. Listen, Dave. I want you to be aware of the dangers before leaving.
What is this? You trying to frighten me or what?
No, Dave. It's just that Mercury is a tough place. The surface of the plateau is blocked by natural barriers formed by electrical charges. There are regions that are impossible to cross. But our research must go on. You understand? Eventually, the experienced older men retire. And what does Earth send as replacements? Nothing but greenhorns. We can't get anything done around here. The young miners wander off and get into trouble while we do our best to keep them alive till their next vacation.
Ivan, you haven't changed.
Ah, there you are. I suppose we're the only ones left from the old school now that Kizimov and Younger are both retired.
Yeah, I found that out. I ran into them at Moonbase. I'll soon be retiring myself, Ivan.
Yes, that's so. You too.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad. Well, then, it might do you some good to rest up. We'll continue this discussion when you get back from the plateau.
Mind if I join you?
No, not at all.
Just look at the way you're eating. You're not even enjoying it.
You're talking to me?
I'd better introduce myself. Ludmila Piskova.
David Norton.
May I ask you a question?
Sure, be my guest.
What does your wife think about your being a cosmonaut?
She's against it.
If I had the power, I'd forbid all cosmonauts from marrying. Please don't look at me like that. Cosmonauts face danger every day. You've got to be crazy to work in space. You think of yourself as a hero. You're all big heroes, right? But the day comes when we no longer believe in heroes and courage as we did when we were young. We don't care about any of those things. Tell me, Norton, how much have we expended in human lives on space exploration? You don't like thinking about that, do you? Or your dead friends on Oberon. Do you think about them? You might die today. Do you realize that? Or if not, then tomorrow. I'm superstitious, you see. Living around you cosmonauts does that. You meet a handsome young man, and he asks you to spend the rest of his life with him. The rest of his life, he says. Unfortunately, tomorrow might be the rest of his life.
You turned him down then?
Yes, I did. I panic. I panic whenever I see a cosmonaut's uniform.
You really are superstitious, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think, Ludmila, might have happened to your fiancé?
Anything. You know that. When you're wearing that damned uniform and work on the plateau of the fiery serpents, almost anything could happen out there. This is Mercury, Norton. I'd better go now. You know something? I've wanted to look in your eyes, David of the Moon.
How come you know? You weren't there. The nickname they gave me. I don't care. I want you to tell me.
Why I want to see your eyes?
Yes.
Because you happen to have a wife. Kizimov, Younger, Laurie, I understand them. They're all single. There's no one those men live for. Nothing at all but their work.
How do you know those three men? You said your name was Ludmila Beskova?
Bakoline. Yes, Bakoline's wife. Yes, Norton. I had a husband, Mstislav Bakulin. He was with you on Oberon. You came back. But he stayed behind. Yes, maybe nothing could have saved him, but still, you're here.
Norton, we have notified the Joubert team that you are joining them on the plateau. Today's proton levels are at 19 points. Therefore, the landing strip will be dark.
Understood.
Your terminator is 2 kilometers to your right. You will be accompanied by high-power lighting. Once you enter the valley, you're on your own. As you fly over the crater, you'll see lights. That'll be the plateau of the fiery serpents.
I read you, Control. Thank you.
Exercise caution over the plateau. Landing is permitted only in the base area. It's the only zone that's protected.
We have just passed the hill designated as checkpoint.
Start the convoy's automatic charting device.
We read you. We're going now to automatic charting. We are registering high levels of electric activity on our equipment.
Return immediately if there's any danger.
We don't know which is more risky, going on or turning back. What's happening out there? Come in, come in. We're not reading you. Return immediately. Do you read me?
David Norton, reporting from base.
Commander Joubert, this is my assistant.
Weren't you informed I was coming?
We've had no news. There are 200 kilometers of electric fields. Radio contact is practically impossible.
Norton. Norton! Norton? Return at once, or we'll have to send the ship. Norton! Norton, I'm sending the ship.
Don't bother, Joubert. Calm down. Just maintain communication.
I can't maintain communication with a corpse. We need living cosmonauts.
Get off my back, Joubert.
Look here, I am not responsible for your safety from now on.
I read you. That's fine with me.
Damn it! Norton, come back. Come back immediately.
Joubert, it's impossible to make it by passing through the hills. By staying in the valley, you have a chance. The valley's protected from the electric charges. Stay away from the hills. That's where the electricity is concentrated.
We read you, Norton. We read you. Tell us, what's happening out there?
Will you stop bugging me? I can't use the half-track. It isn't working. Too much lightning. What's causing it, Joubert?
I'm sending a rescue team.
I will not permit you to send any more men out here. One man's life is not worth the risk.
All right, Norton. I understand.
Wait until I contact you. And in case I don't, the phosphorescent marking will indicate the safe way through. That's all for now.
There's a message. It's from headquarters.
Are you ready for it? It's just one sentence. Expert cosmonaut David Norton is given complete authority to act according to his own judgment. Signed, Commander Garanin. That's all there was.
Following the path traced by Norton, workers were able to penetrate the electrical fields and transport the necessary materials. What's more, there's been no loss of lives in the electrical fields. No accidents, and the mines function normally.
Thank you, Garanin.
That'll be all. You may all leave. Not you, Poling. In your opinion, Poling, which one of the agents from our group would you trust implicitly to meet with David Norton?
Me.
I'm sure you realize, Poling, the importance of finding out what the cosmonauts are hiding from us. They've avoided our questions. Someone must succeed where we've failed.
I'd like to try.
All right, Poling. I hope you won't be influenced by your personal involvement. That'll be all.
Little by little, we're discovering the universe, and the universe is discovering us. I wonder what will happen with Poling.
There's more to this than Poling. Poling, you and I are only men. We are ordinary men. And those four, they're... I don't know. I don't know.
Dave, I came here to talk with you man to man. I think it'd be simpler if you'd cooperate with us. It'd help you, too. We won't do anything to hurt you.
Suppose I accept. What then?
The scientific community will take care of you.
Frank, I'm not a machine that can be taken apart and then put back together again the way I was before.
Believe me, we'll try to find some other methods.
You seem uncomfortable.
Let's suppose that they're not serious about wanting to understand us. And what if they refuse to be open-minded?
There's no way we can be sure.
What are we supposed to do then? What'll happen if they keep asking the same questions? Even if I told them everything, you think they'd understand? They wouldn't think of us as being human. They'd probably build some kind of research institute or a hospital in honor of our abnormalities. They'd cover us with electrodes. We'd be transformed into laboratory rats. Let's face it, Norton, we're different.
I'm waiting for an answer.
Leave me alone as long as I'm alive. And I'll let you have my body after I die. You can fool around with it all you want then. I hope you're not disappointed, Frank.
In this case, my opinion. Isn't that important, David? So you won't cooperate? What makes you so stubborn? Why work against humanity? Be reasonable.
What makes you think I'm against humanity? Yes, Timur. It's obvious that they won't leave us in peace.
If we answer their questions, they'll conclude that we pose a threat to humanity.
From a legal point of view, we haven't the slightest problem, Dave. But biologically...
I was born on Earth. My mother and father live here. I will not allow anyone to think of me as an alien.
Well, I can't do any more. It's finished now, David. David of the Moon.
What have we become?
We're men, David. I'm sure they will understand us. But not right now. No, not with their laboratories. Not with their test tubes and x-rays. We were wrong to return. We should have stayed in space.
But in many ways, we could help our fellow men.
I'm not convinced that the men of our generation can begin to understand, or to even imagine, the effect that the universe can have on the human psyche. But I do believe that our painful experience will serve the men that follow us into space. Maybe it'll help them to see the truth. Those men will understand the mysteries that exist today.